Team Fantasy Podcast. As always, we have Schiff and myself here. We're covering the afternoon games as well as the Sunday night and our two Monday night games for the Week 3 slate. To kick it off, we have the Dolphins at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are obviously favored in this one by 4.5 points. The over-under is 41.5. And there is very real cause for concern for our playmakers on the Dolphins side of the ball. Tua is on the IR for at least the next 4 weeks, which makes sense, completely makes sense. Don't blame the Dolphins for doing it. Tua should obviously look out for his health, but in the meantime, it will be Skylar Thompson for at least this week. And when Tua is out and Skylar Thompson is in, and the sample size we have, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle both average single-digit fantasy finishes. And it's just tough. Obviously, we're not looking at Skylar Thompson. I think Devon Achane, no matter who is in at quarterback, is a must start. He's going to get the targets out of the backfield. Raheem Mostert is also still questionable for this week with that chest injury. He's been practicing in a limited capacity. Even if he can go, Devon Achane is still a must start. Mostert, I'm probably looking to keep out this week. Strictly because the Dolphins' inability to pass is going to lead to them having to run it a little more, and I think the Seahawks are going to hone in on that. If you have to play Mostert, I don't completely hate it, but if I have the option, I'm looking to keep him out. Talking about Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, Tyreek you have to put in your lineup. You drafted him somewhere 1 through 4, so he just has to be. Jalen Waddle I have a lot more concern with. But again, you drafted him fairly high, so if you have to keep him in, so be it, especially if you're in a 3-receiver league. But if you've been playing the waiver wire or you have guys coming back from injury, I would like to see a week of how Jalen Waddle performs this season with Skylar Thompson. The Seahawks are third in the league against the pass, giving up 129 yards. It was already going to be a tough matchup with Tua. Now it looks terrible with Skylar Thompson. So I'm just treading with extreme caution with, to be fair, both pass catchers. But Tyreek and Devon Achane you have to keep in. Jalen Waddle and Mostert I'm taking out this week if I can, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And that's really it for the Dolphins side of the ball. I want to see how they function with Skylar Thompson as their quarterback.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as Reek, you'd like to still hope that they find a way to manufacture targets for him, still find ways to get him the ball. Even if they're not going deep down the field.
Mm-hmm.
My real question about this Miami situation right now is how long is it going to take for them to get Tyler Huntley in there?
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it should take that long. Going over to Seattle's side of the ball, I do believe Ken Walker's probably going to miss another week. Um, there was a video of him like just kind of jogging almost, not really running too hard, and then like near the end he pulled up and grabbed towards the side. So we will see. Let me see if there's any. I mean, obviously he's still listed as questionable. Missed practice on Thursday. Uh, it says barring anything unforeseen, he will likely miss week 3 and set his sights towards a week 4 return. So it is likely we're going to be missing Ken Walker again with I don't know, Miami's defense. It's probably going to be tough. I mean, Charbonnet has not been that great running the ball. Efficiency wise, at least, we know he's able to get it done with targets out of the backfield. And if he falls into the end zone, I think if Ken Walker doesn't play, you're very obviously starting Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
He's going to get that volume, and just the game script looks nice for him. Um, I mean, you're rolling DK, and I'd like to say you can roll JSN again this week and Geno, but I just don't know that they're going to need to throw the ball too much. Skylar Thompson doesn't look that capable, so I don't know how much Miami's going to be really posing a threat and forcing Seattle to really do too much on offense. It could just
Yeah.
be one of those weeks where there might be a passing touchdown, and I just think Geno might throw the ball like 20 times this week. So
Yeah.
whatever comes of that. And then I like Seattle's defense, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's just tough.
It's a whole different team with Skylar Thompson. And really quickly, I found the stat, and it's Skylar Thompson played 3 full games in 2022. In those 3 games, Tyreek Hill averaged 9 targets, caught 5.3 of those for 46.3 yards, no touchdowns. Jalen Waddle averaged 5.3 targets, 3.7 catches for 37 yards on average, no touchdowns. So that's a right around a 9.5 PPR average for Reek, and a right around a 7 average for Jalen.
And that was a generous roundup.
I exactly. It was not good, to say the
No.
least.
But yeah, with that, we will take it into our next afternoon game. We have Jesus. Carolina
It's a trap game.
heading to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. You know, the only reason I agree with you is because they just made the quarterback switch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is a legitimate trap game. But with you guys playing at home, there's anybody can win any given Sunday. If the Raiders lose this game, oh my God. Anyways, on to the Panthers side of the ball where, the over-under is 40 in this one, and the Raiders are favored by 5. Andy Dalton will be starting at quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And this really makes it, I mean, obviously, after the first 2 weeks, just because of the quarterback change, I'm not jumping to put Deontay, Adam Thielen, and Xavier Leggett in my lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching intently this week at how the quarterback change, affects their usage. I'd like to hope that it makes each one of them at least somewhat viable in a fantasy setting, especially
Yeah.
Deontay, given where he was drafted. But it's kind of just a wait and see with the Panthers this week. I don't believe that Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, whichever one of them, obviously it was Chuba Hubbard, but if you had a Panthers backup this week, I don't believe that's a good play. I think just given obviously the Raiders got torched in week 1 by J.K. Dobbins, but if you just watch the way that they played the beginning of that game last week against Derrick Henry, if they give the Panthers fits running the ball in the beginning of the game, they're going to get behind, and I don't believe it's going to be something that they continue to do.
Yeah.
So not really starting anybody on the Panthers this week, more just watching the pass catchers and seeing how they perform. And Jonathan Brooks should be off the PUP soon, so hopefully the days of Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders are very numbered.
Yeah. It's just until they're another offense. I mean, to be fair, they've been the worst offense in the NFL. So until you see any signs of life, we know Andy Dalton should be a little more capable getting the ball downfield than Bryce Young was, but I don't know. And I don't think week 3 on the road is the time to risk that. The
It was like
Raiders,
in his only start, he threw the ball over 50 times for over 300 yards, which that does give me some hope, but
you
we
just
got to
don't.
see it.
Yeah, you
We
just
got to
don't
see it.
know. The Raiders side of the ball is fairly easy. We're starting Devontae Adams. We're starting Brock Bowers. If there was a week that you are dealing with, a Ken Walker injury, potentially a Joe Mixon, you don't have a Cam Akers, you don't have a Charbonnet, but you did draft a Zamir White. If there was a week for Zamir White to break out, it is this week. It is 100%. This is the week. The Raiders should go up early, and they should have to run the ball to keep that clock running. And we saw what Antonio Pierce said. Of course, any coach is going to say it about their young running back that just took over the backfield. We'd like to see him get, at least 15 touches, around 20 touches a game. And every coach is going to say it. But from what we've seen from Antonio Pierce, I genuinely believe it. He hopes the offense can get to that point. But we'll just have to see. I don't hate the Zamir White start if you have to make it this week. But also, if you can stay away from it, to be fair, I would. It's like the stars are aligned for him to have that big week, but we've seen how it's looked through 2 weeks. And running the ball efficiently on the ground just has not been their forte. The Panthers do give up just about 200 yards on the ground, but I want to see the Raiders run the ball efficiently.
I feel like this is the week where this is like my cutoff with Zamir White.
Yeah.
If you, especially the way a lot of the running backs are looking right now, if you have him this week, I feel like you're starting him given the matchup. And if he doesn't perform this week, that's kind of it for me. This is the matchup. He looked good at the end of that Raiders-Ravens game when they were just running the ball, trying to salt away some time, getting a field goal position.
Yeah.
He looked a little bit better then. But no, seriously, if he can't perform this week, I'm pretty much at my wit's end with Zamir White. It's like all the opportunity is there. Playing at home against the Panthers, now's the time. So yeah, I'm full go on his Zamir start this week.
Yeah, and if you want to throw Daniel Carlson in for this week, I don't think it's a bad play. The Raiders' defense hasn't gotten to the quarterback as much as I would like for starting a fantasy defense. Now, they may not give up many points. I mean, we'll have to see. I think there's better fantasy plays. But if you want to throw them out there, the Panthers are, without question, a bottom 3 offense in the NFL. So I don't completely hate it. Oh, the next game is going to be played in Los Angeles. It's the 49ers versus the Rams. And if you bought tickets for this one, I would be so pissed because all the superstars, just about every superstar, is probably out for this one. On the Niners side of the ball, we obviously know McCaffrey is still gone. Debo is doubtful for this one with the calf injury. George Kittle's been dealing with a lingering hamstring injury. He has not practiced up to this point. We are filming Friday morning. So he has not practiced. So it's very possible that George Kittle won't be out there as well. If Kittle can't go, I like Jordan Mason, Brandon Ayuk. You obviously have to throw these guys out there. This should be the Brandon Ayuk week. Absolutely should be the Ayuk week. Brock Purdy, I don't think is going to have the greatest fantasy week strictly because of the Rams side of the ball. It might be one of those weeks where the Niners do not have to pass a whole bunch. But, again, if you had like a Jordan Love or someone like that could potentially miss this week and he's your backup, I don't mind you throwing him in there. Just be cautious. The Niners might pound this ball into the ground. Juwan Jennings, I have heavy interest in, especially if George Kittle doesn't go. They're just going to be super limited on the weapons they have out there. So I do
He's
like...
proven to be a very reliable target.
Yeah, no,
in all stages of the game. Damn near should have been Super Bowl MVP if the Niners won. So.
You're not wrong. So those are the guys I really like. I like Jordan Mason, Ayuk. I like Juwan Jennings. I mean, honestly, with or without Kittle, but more without Kittle. And then, Jake Moody. And potentially the Niners defense in this one. The Rams are just very limited. Schiff will cover that right now, but the Rams side of the ball looks very sad.
There's not much to say, but a crazy question that just popped in my head. And I mean, crazy, disgusting question.
Oh God.
In a much deeper league, should Kittle not play? How would you feel about Kyle Juszczyk?
He's gonna be used. He's going to be used.
I'd imagine. I mean, he runs routes every game, and it was just a funny thought. I mean, obviously Ross. I think it's Ross Dwelly would step in as their
Mm-hmm.
backup tight end, but I was like, I wonder how much more run just with Debo being out, McCaffrey being out, Kittle being out. It's like, how much run would Juszczyk get?
I think Juszczyk getting 10 opportunities, whether that's rushes or passes, like those combined, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get double-digit opportunities this week, which is insane. But
I
I
think
wouldn't
I
be
agree with you.
surprised.
And this is if Kittle doesn't play. We're not
Yeah,
just
yeah,
claiming this. But on to the Rams side of the ball where things are looking pretty nasty right now. They're owing to a lot of their offensive line is hurt.
yeah.
Puka Nacua is on IR. Cooper Kupp is out for the foreseeable future. We don't really have a timetable on that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Rams, you're starting Kyron Williams. It's just you have to.
Yeah,
With the way the running backs are looking, you don't really have much of a choice. Um, Outside of that, I mean, it's going to be tough. We saw, despite the game script last week, I mean, you only saw 4 targets for Demarcus Robinson. I think
mm-hmm.
like 2 for Whittington and Tyler Johnson each. I think it was like 3 or 4 for Tutu Atwell. It's just, I don't necessarily think with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua out, there's going to be a true alpha stepping up.
I agree.
I mean, we'll see, but I feel like they might just spread the ball around a lot. And that being said, especially this week, the pressure on Matt Stafford is going to be, I mean, honestly, just pray he makes it out of this one alive because the Niners are going to be breathing down his neck the entire game. Like I said, their offensive line is hurt. Their 2 best weapons are out. They don't even have their starting tight end right now. It's if you want to go ahead and try to play with the Rams carousel of backup wide receivers this week,
You might guess
I'm not going to
correctly.
sit here and tell you which one to pick. I know that Demarcus Robinson has been a starting wide receiver on this team. Granted, at the number 3 wide receiver position, but he has consistently been on the field, not just through the first 2 weeks of the season, one in
Yeah,
the last season too. So that being said, I mean, I guess I do trust him the most, but it's just one of the I don't know how valuable it'll be in a very tough matchup.
yeah. No,
So aside from Kyron, I'm not really trying to start any Rams this week unless you have a serious hole in your roster and like you need a Demarcus Robinson spot start.
yeah. No, I completely agree with that. And I have the opposite feeling for this next coming matchup. This is probably going to be one of the high flyers of the week.
Well, at least Vegas thinks so. Detroit at Arizona, they have the matchup projected at 51.5 total points,
Mm-hmm.
with Detroit favored by 3. Um, we'll see about that.
Yeah,
But
that's
the way that Jared
disrespectful.
Goff has been playing so far doesn't really give me much confidence to believe that the Lions are going to go in there and score a bunch of points. Um, but we'll see about that. 2 weeks does not a season make, and the Lions have been Super Bowl favorites for quite a few people.
Yeah,
So just in this one, the Cardinals have allowed 22 points per game through the first 2 weeks and 298 total yards a game. The Lions are passing for 262, running for 151 a game. I don't think we overthink this one. Not starting Jared Goff at this point.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
like it's been 2 weeks. He's played in domes in good matchups through both of those weeks and not given us performances we want. If he decides to figure out how to perform as a fantasy quarterback later on down the season or later on the line down the season, we'll revisit this. But for right now, I'm not forcing Jared Goff into my lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, I believe. What was the last you saw on Amon-Ra?
Um, it does seem like he's going to play.
Yeah, he no longer has a questionable tag.
Yeah, he logged a full
Um,
practice on Wednesday. He'll be good to go.
all right, so we're good on Amon-Ra. Obviously, we're starting him. I think the two running backs on the lines and the two receivers that we like, we're starting. It's Jameer, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Jamison Williams. I believe is an every week start at this point until he proves otherwise.
Yeah,
Um, and then Sam Laporta.
you
Well,
have
what it,
to. You
you,
have
I
to.
mean, like, what can you do? You're
Yeah.
throwing him out there. You're just hoping for better days,
Yeah.
and not going with the Lions defense in this one. If you want to go either one of these kickers, I don't hate it. Like we said,
Yep.
high point total
Yep.
or high projected point total. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, I feel like it's really cut and dry with the guys you're starting on Detroit. Not really too much else to pay attention to there.
No,
So,
it's kind of the same for the Cardinals. You know, the Lions aren't the greatest against the pass. They have a pretty stout rush defense, but James Conner's upside is also his pass catching ability. So you're rolling Kyler, you're rolling James Conner, Maserati Marv, Trey McBride. As you mentioned, the kicker for either team, I don't mind. And then I'm keeping my eyes on Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. I'm seeing how it goes. It's one of those where Michael Wilson is technically the wide receiver too. He's going to be out there for much more snaps. Now, on a week to week basis, who does Kyler like more between him and Greg Dortch is still not completely decided because week two, they blew out the Rams, didn't have to pass it too much. And then week one, Greg Dortch got more targets, but who got it in the end zone? Michael Wilson. So we need more weeks. We need more sample size. I think this could be a good game of that to see which one differentiates themselves. But yeah, we're not overthinking matchups in this one. I'm just happy to have pieces in this matchup, which should be fairly high scoring. I think
yeah.
this next game should be one of your
Yeah.
favorites.
I guess I could lead us into this one. We have my own two Ravens going into Dallas to take on the Cowboys.
Why did you have to add that to the?
Oh, because I'm personally not very confident going into this game. Should we win, I will be happy. Should we be 0-3, I'm not going to be too upset because, I mean, it is what it is. They did get mollywopped by the Saints last week,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, the Ravens are actually favored by a point.
Yeah, you guys are technically favored by
Oh,
4.
I don't like that. Anyways, yeah, you're starting Lamar, starting Derrick Henry, starting Mark Andrews, starting Zay Flowers. If you paid the premium for Isaiah Likely, and he's your tight end now, you're starting Isaiah Likely. Realistically, I think they might need to use him quite a bit in this game. Oh yeah, the projected point total is 47.5.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think Isaiah Likely is going to need to get some use. Um, Justin Tucker, I don't know how the Ravens are going to do in this game, but I would like to think that they are going to need to pass the ball to kind of hang with this Cowboys offense. And Derrick Henry, 2 games, 2 touchdowns. Why not make it a third?
yeah. And it's funny too because like currently, and again, it's a 2 week sample size, but the Ravens are dead last in passing yards given up and first in rushing yards giving up, and that kind of matches what the Cowboys want to do because, their running back room isn't exactly anything to be scared of at this point. Um, I think, you roll out Dak. CeeDee Lamb said he will play with his ankle injury, and I do believe CeeDee Lamb will be out there. If he isn't, the Cowboys are they're in more trouble than we can even describe. So if CeeDee Lamb plays, you obviously play him. And Jake Ferguson has been a limited participant this week with that knee injury. If he's able to go, I think you roll him. And if he's not, how do you feel about Luke
About
Schoonmaker?
Schoon,
Schoonmaker. What?
whatever it is, Schoonmakers. Yeah, no,
You're staying away from him?
no, yeah. I mean, the Ravens have a pretty good linebacker core, and it was Brock Bowers that tore us up last week, not
It's
the
not
backup tight end for the
the
Cowboys. So
Cowboys. Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean,
I'm
I think
not disagreeing.
CD and Dak are your obvious starts. I'm staying away from a Zeke or Rico Dowdle. I'm not forcing them into my lineup, and that's absolutely necessary. Brandon Cooks, I'm keeping him on the sideline, but I'm seeing how the week goes. Like, there's still obviously real interest in Brandon Cooks, but I want to see him get consistent work as the Cowboys wide receiver 2 on a week to week basis. I don't like seeing a complete dud week from Brandon Cooks. Like that
Yeah,
does not in a week without Jake Ferguson too. That's tough to see. And then Brandon Aubrey, obviously we're starting. The Cowboys defense, you roll the dice with these guys. Like, they're gonna have the crazy weeks. Like, and there's worlds where they could give up 28 points to the Ravens, but potentially get like a pick. They just have weird. You know what you get with the Cowboys. Just flat out. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what you get with that defense. It's a very high risk, high reward defense. So if you want to roll them, you know the risk involved. If you want to pivot to a safer defense against a much safer matchup, then do so. And our Sunday night game, the Chiefs at the Falcons. This one also interests me. The Falcons showed a lot more signs of life last week, and the Chiefs looked very touchable against a Bengals team that lost to the Patriots at home week 1. So it is what it is. The Chiefs, obviously, the worst news is Isaiah Pacheco with that fractured fibula, missing the next 6 to 8 weeks. You can't throw out Carson Steele or Samaje Perine or Keontae Ingram. Do not throw one of those guys out. That's just a risk that is going to absolutely bite you. I wouldn't be surprised if none of these guys saw 40% of snaps. I think you're going to see a 30 percentage from Carson Steele and Perine, and you're probably going to see a 15 to 20 for Keontae Ingram. It's going to be disgusting on the Chiefs side of the ball for the running back room. The bad news is the Falcons are pretty bad against the run and pretty good against the pass. They actually give up more rushing yards a game so far than they do passing yards. But the Chiefs find ways to win games. You do have Mahomes. You start Mahomes, you start Rashee Rice. Travis Kelce, same boat as Laporta up to this point, has not been used anywhere where we would like to see from him. But he's going to have to be used in this game. You obviously roll Kelce. Xavier Worthy, I think you throw him out there. We've seen him get carries out of the backfield. We've seen him be used kind of similar to how the Packers use Jaden Reed. Like, they're going to create plays for him out of the backfield, through the air. So just with how dynamic he is, you have to start him. The Chiefs are actually favored in this one by 3, which technically means they're 6-point favorites. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but we'll see. The over-under is 46.5. This should be another fairly high-scoring game. At least Vegas thinks so. The guys on the Chiefs, we start our guys. And they should see more volume with Pacheco going down.
No, yeah. Going over to the Falcons side of the ball, we talked about it I think we talked a little just about in the Eagles and Falcons recap how Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod played 100% of the snaps in the last game.
Yeah.
Obviously, Drake London is the number one option, but it's just very interesting. I mean, if the targets are going to be, you have Bijan,
Mm-hmm.
Drake London, Kyle Pitts, but if the only other two guys that are going to get targets there are Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod,
Yeah.
then it becomes a lot more interesting to watch when you don't have
Mm-hmm.
random targets here or there slipping to the Jonnu Smith of that team, whoever it may be this year. Um, I know it's not Michael Pruitt anymore because he's on the Steelers. So whoever their random target stealer is, it's not seeming like they're getting any this year, which I love.
Yeah.
But Chiefs are giving up 386 yards a game through the first two games, while they were able to get wins in both of those. Both teams, the Ravens and the Bengals, both had
Close.
really good chances to win.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't, with the loss of L'Jarius Sneed, I believe it's a lot easier to pass on the Chiefs now. Kirk did look good at least at the end of that Monday night game.
He did.
They want to give the Falcons two primetime games in a row. Let Kirko rock. You're starting Bijan, that's very obvious. And then Kirk, no. But Drake London, I think you can start
Yeah.
if you're in need and want to flex Darnell Mooney or Ray McLeod. I don't hate that. They're going to be out there. They're probably going to be trailing in this game. And then Kyle Pitts, you're starting. I feel like
Young
if
Wei
you want
Koo.
to, yeah, if you want to Koo,
Or
Young
Butker.
Way.
I should have mentioned Butker, but I feel like that one was kind
I
of a
feel
given.
like Butker, you're not ever really taking out of your lineup just
Yeah.
because he's so solid. But yeah, Koo's definitely a good one too. But other than that, yeah, it should be an interesting Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see if the Falcons can build on that last second drive.
Yeah.
But going into our first Monday night game, because for some reason the NFL decided to give us two this week, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars heading into Buffalo to take on the Bills. You're starting Travis Etienne and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
I'm not. You're not starting Brenton Strange. Christian Kirk has earned himself a bench spot. Gabe Davis wasn't starting anyways. Trevor Lawrence has not played well up to this point so far. I mean, we're not forcing people into our lineups. If you want to sit Brian Thomas Jr. due to the matchup, go ahead. I'm starting him this week. I believe he's the most talented receiver on that roster. Travis Etienne, it's obvious where you picked him, what the way the running backs are looking. You probably don't have any better options, so you're starting him. And yeah, I mean, there's really not too much to sit here and drag on about. Like,
Yeah.
over under is 45.5, and Buffalo's favored by 5 at home. So
Yeah. It's just the one thing to mention. Yeah. Evan Ingram did not practice Thursday. He is a long
yeah,
shot to
he's
play
gonna miss the
Monday.
game.
So if
And
he misses, obviously we're not
we're not
looking
looking
at
at Brenton Strange,
no.
not
No.
against the Bills.
And the Bills side of the ball, I mean, they're just weird so far. I mean, obviously Josh Allen and James Cook have, no pun intended, just been cooking for the Bills. James Cook mainly. Josh Allen didn't do too much last week.
He was cooking with the easy bake oven last game.
Yeah, he just didn't have to. So I mean, it is what it is. But we're obviously starting those two. Kincaid. Gosh, man, we're getting. He saw a little bit more volume, so I'm looking at it as he's trending in the right direction. I mean, with a positive
With
outlook.
some of these tight ends, there's nothing you can do but just hold on to hope. I mean, you trade them now, you're not going to get a good return on that. Like you're not going to. You're going to be trading them for pennies.
Yeah,
And if you bench them for
a
a
waiver
Zach
guy.
Ertz or someone,
That's exactly
you
who I was
know,
thinking of.
you would not be able to live with yourself should your tight end that you drafted within the first 5, 6 rounds finally decides to blow up and you have Zach Ertz with 5 points in your starting tight end slot.
Yeah, that's just shame. I mean, it just is what it is. Yeah, you have to keep him in. Um, so far through 2 weeks, I feel like it's fair to say that Khalil Shakir has looked like the safest option in the wide receiver room. He's been the
Yeah.
most familiar with Josh Allen, and that makes sense to me. So if you want to flex Khalil Shakir, I don't hate it. He seems like a guy that's not going to completely burn you. He gets, 4 or 5 targets. What he does with those, you know, possibly get in the end zone, whatever the case. He's the safest bet. Curtis Samuel, I'm out on. Mac Hollins, if he played without shoes on, he might do better. I don't know. Um,
Probably.
Keon Coleman. Obviously, at this point, I'm not starting
Oh,
him. He deserves a roster spot still, but it is worrisome not getting a single target. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone saw the clips online. I think it's taken way out of context and it probably didn't happen as it was shown, but there's the whole, Josh Allen ignoring Keon Coleman during the game. Like, I don't think that was the case, but it does cause real concern him not getting a single target. So for now, you're going to have to sit on the bench until I can figure out what your role in this offense is really going to be. I'm still waiting for the Bills to have to be in a passing situation, a pass script game where they have to pass more and see who the guys are. And we might not see it again this week. That's the sad part. This could be another week we don't see it.
yeah. The Bills are just. I'm getting sick of them
They're
already through the first 2 weeks.
it's how they want to go to work. They want to run the ball and they want their defense to
Oh
put them
yeah,
in
in
favorable
real life
positions.
football, they're doing what they need and want to do.
But
But
for us, it's extremely annoying.
then,
Unless you have James Cook. You have James Cook.
if you have James Cook, then you're fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And our last game, the last Monday night game of the week, is the Commanders taking on the Bengals in Cincinnati. The over-under in this one's 47. The Bengals are favored by 7. We shall see about this one. I think it's gonna be an electrifying game. The Bengals are actually second against the pass so far. They only give up 128 yards a game. They're
okay, how many yards did Jacoby Brissett throw for in Week 1?
I'm just reading the stats, okay?
I was
No, I
like,
know.
okay, well,
It,
hold on, bro, hold on. Like they did their thing against Patrick Mahomes, but they lost Week 1 to Ramondre Stevenson. So
yeah. No, I mean that was the next point. They're
yeah, yeah.
26th against the rush. They give up 160 yards on the ground. You have Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson who are more than happy running the ball. I think you can start Jaden Daniels. Something
Well,
we've
yeah.
seen is he has not thrown a touchdown or an interception. It's incredible through 2 weeks. Um,
Man, I'll take that over the Anthony Richardson performances.
for sure. And Jaden Daniels has carried the ball 16 times week 1 and 10 times week 2. With his legs alone, he should be able to get some big plays on the ground and potentially some through the air, we hope. Um, I think Brian Robinson is an obvious start. He's just been very solid. 2 double-digit finishes. He ran the ball extremely well against the Giants. I don't see why he shouldn't in this one. And Austin Eckler, if you want to throw him at the flex, he's gone double digits both weeks. I mean, again, when we look at guys that are not going to burn us, Austin Eckler is for sure one of those. And then we get to Scary Terry. In a 2-receiver league, it's a lot easier to say put him on your bench. In a 3-receiver, it's a lot harder to say for him to be on the bench. I still have extreme hope for him. Obviously,
Terry
he's
McLaurin or Rashid Shaheed?
Rashid Shaheed. We're just at that point. You know what I mean? Like, just
It was a decision that I had to make in our bubble bowl.
in who'd you
I
go?
went with Rashid Shaheed.
His upside is just way higher. We've seen, I mean, through 2 weeks, Terry has 8 catches for 39 yards.
Yeah, the Michael Pittman experience.
Yeah, his yards per target just are not there. So if I can, I keep him out. If I have to play him, I just hope for Jaden Daniels to
Close
catch more of
your
the.
eyes
Yeah, but
and
outside of
hope for
that,
the best.
I'm not looking at Luke McCaffrey and Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, I don't completely hate. Through 2 weeks, he's currently the tight end 9. And he's got 16 fantasy points. It more so if you're dealing with an injury and that's what's left on the waiver, he won't completely burn you. That's the only point I'm trying to make. And I mean that's really it for the Commanders there.
Yeah, and I mean going over to the Cincinnati side of the ball, projected 27 points at home. Like to think it is going to be likely a top 5, top 3 quarterback week for Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Hoping that we see that production we drafted Jamar Chase for. Hoping that this was a squeaky wheel week. I'm thinking he can definitely I'm thinking that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack is going to be very, very valuable this week. T. Higgins might make a return, but I don't know. We've seen T. Higgins come back, play a couple snaps, and leave.
Don't put that in the air. But you're not wrong.
I,
You have to.
yeah,
You
it's
have to put it in the
for
air.
T. Higgins. It's just for him over time. He has shown me. I want to see him practicing a full week before I'm putting him in my starting lineup. He
Yeah.
has played that game too many times where he's come off the field just into a game, like 3 snaps in, like a quarter. I cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's fair.
especially, we got a lot of people 0-2, 1-1. I'm not trying to put that,
Yeah.
and especially with, they had 2 touchdown performance out of Yoshivas last week. They had 91-yard performance out of Mike Gesicki last week.
Yeah.
I do believe Jamar Chase is really going to step up and ball out this game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so T just scares me for that reason, just because we've seen him do that. So that if he plays and plays his normal run of snaps that he would, then I'm fine. But it's just we don't know that this is going to be the week that happens.
It's fair.
So still cause for concern with T. Higgins. And then we get to the running back room. Honestly, I think it should be a good week for Zach Moss. I really do.
Yeah.
We saw Devin Singletary look great. I mean, he looked great he fumbled the ball one time. It was a nice punch out by St. Juice, but just running the ball, Singletary looked amazing. So I don't have many qualms playing Zach Moss this week. I think he should be decent. I think he could fall into the end zone. And yeah, if you want to go McPherson, I don't have a problem with that. If you want to get really nasty and stream Mike Gesicki, go ahead.
Yeah.
But that being our last preview of the week. Oh, and then Chase Brown is still just I mean, you'd like to think, yes, he's got the explosiveness, but it's just not going to happen at this point in the season, and maybe later on.
Yeah.
Now we're done. So that'll be our last one. We'll be back probably Monday or Tuesday with all of the recaps, including the Thursday night recap from last night.
Yeah.
But yeah, hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Good luck to everybody. I know that The injury bug has bitten us all. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way if you play in more than one league that you have avoided it. So best of luck to everybody with dealing with that, and hopefully it avoids it. It gives us a break this week. Let us
Yeah.
rest week 3. Let our players get out of this healthy, because God, the first 2 weeks we've been put in the ringer.
Yeah.
But thank you guys once again for stopping in. As we mentioned in our head-to-head, we have now been on YouTube for a year. It's all thanks to you guys coming back and, giving us a reason to put these shows out.
Yeah.
So, Derek, if you got anything else to add?
No, just what Schiff mentioned. I'd like to say we've been fairly consistent due to the support. We want to get out the info to you guys, want to help any way we can, and we really enjoy doing it. So thank you from both of us for sure.
Yes, sir. So, as you've heard for a whole year now, and hopefully many more to come, come back next time, guys. Take more reps with the first team.
Yes, sir.